Hey, what's going on, y'all? My name is Mitchell. Today is 0804 2025. I wanted to make this video sooner. I just been caught up trying to get things together, been moving and, being in transitions of different jobs and things of that nature. But in June 13th, I got laid off my job that I've been working for 4 years. I guess they was having some financial problems, and they was already kicking some guys off. I survived the first round. The second round didn't survive, and it was just a big shutdown. And that was Great Plains Transport out of North Dakota. Um, well, in the process, being that I didn't quit my job, I was laid off. I was approved for unemployment, and I was approved for like $786 a week for my unemployment. But you know, my job at Great Plains Transport, and I'm just saying all this because it's a point of me telling you this. My job at Great Plains Transport, I had like a base salary, so they paid me for the contract agreement was them to pay me $1,400 every week. Okay, so even if my truck stopped running, or if my truck was in the shop or whatever, layovers, all this stuff, it didn't matter. I got paid $1,400. My take home was like $1,200. That was after the tax was deducted, which is something that shouldn't have been doing because it was a contract agreement where they would agree to $1,400. But that's a whole other issue. But if you look up Title 26, Section 83A, you will see that all that was just a big scam of them taking money out of my account. But we're not going to address that. But David Merlin already challenged it. He took it all the way to the Supreme Court, U.S. Supreme Court, and wrote to the Congress about the matter. It's just a big old scam, but we're not going to get into that. But the point of it is that even when I went home, because it was like every week that I was out on the road, I got paid. I get a day off. So I used to accumulate my days. So I probably stay on the road for like 10 weeks so I can get 10 days off. So, and when I was at home, my check was still 1,400, as far as that's how much they still pay me, even though I wasn't even working. So maybe that's why they went in bankruptcy. I don't know. But I always knew that my check was going to be in the 1,200s pretty much, and then it was giving us bonuses. It was a nice gig. The only part I didn't like about the job is that they was after a lot of drivers quit or whatever, they start pushing us other drivers a lot harder. And another thing was that the snow. I hate the snow. I hate the snow. I'm from Texas. We don't have snow in Texas like that. So driving in the snow was not what I was trained on. We was trained to drive on wheels, not on ice. So I don't know how to ice skate in a big old 18 wheeler. I'm just not that kind of guy. But that's one of the things. But I kind of dealt with it. I put up with it. But it was a good gig. There's, every job when you working for somebody, it's always going to have things that you don't like. That's just even when you have your own business. I have my own business. There are some things that you just don't like. So, that's just the way it is. But anyhow, I got laid off June 13th, which was on a Friday. Friday the 13th was crazy. And I was going out looking for a job. That first few days, I was just trying to get back from North Dakota to Texas. They paid for my rental and everything, but they didn't actually pay for it. They got me a rental, and I had to pay for it out of my check. So yeah, and I understood that because they probably didn't want me to take the vehicle and then I'd be joyriding for days and days, and they had to pay for it. So that was understandable. I would just appreciate they got me a rental, you know what I mean? So, because I had a lot of stuff. You got to understand, we as truck drivers, we lived inside the truck. So anyway, this is not about Great Plains Transport. I can make a video on that, but it's really not necessarily. But I do want to talk about some of the things that went down at that job because it needs to be talked about. But right now, this is about MVT. Now, I was called for a lot of jobs, because my driving record, like, I don't have any drug, alcohol on my clearinghouse. I had a few minor incidents. That's for when I say a few minor, I didn't even get a citation for it. Basically, I think it was staged. I was turning inside this gas station, and the truck that was coming out, he was too far on the side where I needed to come in, and so that kind of pushed me over. And so when I realized when I was turning, my trailer, which was loaded, was about to fall into a ditch. So I noticed that, so I stopped, and there was like there was vehicles behind me that was waiting on a traffic light. And so what I did was I put on my hazard light and I started backing up really, really slow. I mean, I was going so slow that if you was in a car, you had a chance to move out the way or blow your horn and let me know, hey, I'm about to hit you. But I didn't get no horns or anything. But when I was backing up very slowly, a guy came out and he said, "Hey man, you hit me." I'm like, "Huh? I hit you?" He's like, "Yeah." And so on his truck angle, I can, if anybody wants to see the pictures of it, you're gonna be like, "How did I end up hitting you?" How did I hit him? If my bumper was on this side and his damages was on another side. It's like impossible. Like when you driving backwards, it was weird. And so I asked him, I said, "Hey man, why didn't you honk your horn?" He didn't say anything. And he had a for sale sign on the back of his truck that he was trying to sell his truck. So it was some weird, I think it was staged. You know what I mean? I truly believe it was staged, but I can't prove it because I don't have any cameras behind me. But, I pulled inside the drive-in of the truck stop. Police came. He asked, was anybody hurt? Nobody said there was hurt. Some other guy, "Oh, I'm a witness." And I should have took their name down. Man, but anyhow, I should challenge it because I really don't see how I possibly end up hitting that. And and I didn't have no paint scratched off my trailer. Normally when you bump something, you scratch off the paint. There was no scrape off on my trailer. There was no type of evidence that I did it. So anyhow, but all the other violations was overweight scales. So I had that one, and I had the overweight scales. And the crazy part about the overweight scale was that I had a legal ticket basically showing that my load was legal. I had all my tandems was legal, steer, drive axles, all that. Those was all legal. But when I went to the DOT scale, they was like, "Oh, we don't care. We don't care what your ticket said. Our scale number is incorrect. So that's what we're gonna go by." So it was one of those things. So that's why I hated heavy loads. I hated any loads over 40,000 pounds. I hated that because I had to go through that, And so, but that's the only thing I had on, and I've been driving for 6+ years. I'm a real good driver, so I have my record is like good, really good. So anyhow, I was getting a lot of calls about opportunities to come drive with them. I didn't really want to do OTR anymore because I don't like the fact that I don't like to get paid by the miles because as long as you're in that truck, you working. I don't care if you're off the clock. If you're not in your home, in your bed, you working. And a lot of times when you out working and you're driving or you getting loaded and unloaded, they be wanting you to clock off. They want you to clock off, so they can save your drive time. And they were always legal, but I was never comfortable with doing that. I was like, look, if I gotta sit in my seat and I gotta watch the load light turn green or turn red, then I'm working because I can't go in my sleep and go to sleep. I gotta watch this light. So why am I off the clock? Because I'm still working. I'm not getting no rest. So that was one of those situations. I don't like that. So it was, to me, it was kind of like a labor law violation because I'm working and I'm not on the clock. You know what I mean? But with Great Plains, like I told you, it was a solid contract where I'm going to automatically get that money. So it wasn't a big deal with them. But other than that, all of this getting paid 40, 50 cents a mile, I ain't like it because if that truck start rolling, your truck break down, we'll give you a $50, $100 layover. Yeah, but that's not going to make up for the time that I could have been driving, or whatever. But it's just, to me, it's a big scam, and I don't like it. So anyhow, I was getting a lot of opportunities. I was getting a lot of calls, from other companies. And so this one woman, her name was Jenny. She called me. She was a recruiter. She called me from MVT, and I told her, I said, look, I got a few guys that's already in the process of putting me through everything I need in order to get started. I said, but if you can get on your game and jump and hurry up and get me processed, then you got me. And that's what she did. She got on her hustle, and she got me, right? And so they had paid for my airplane flight from Fort Worth all the way to Laredo, Texas. And they had us take this test and things. So before I took this job, I was watching a lot of videos, and that's the nature of this video, because there was just one guy that he was saying how they have a communicational problem. They don't know how to communicate well, and then he said some other stuff, but at the end he said, I want you. Don't say I didn't want you. But I was thinking, well, maybe, he just had a bad experience. That happened, and we can't cry about that, and I didn't think the stuff that he was talking about, I deal with it anyway, with people don't know how to communicate with one another. I deal with that. So I've been dealing with that. So I'm like, okay, that's not really nothing, okay? And I looked at other videos. I tried to look at as many videos as possible to decide whether I should go there or not. But no videos that I've seen on MVT has revealed what I'm about to reveal to you that I've learned. And I'm not crapping on this company because I had my bad experience. I'm disclosing some information, my experience that I had with them, that I want to make sure that other potential or prospects that decide that they should go or not go to there, they need to hear this video. It's very important to hear this video. Okay, so these are facts. So this is not to crap on their name or anything like that, but it's just telling you the facts. These are facts, okay? All their trucks, as far as what they told me, as far as I know, they're tractors, not their trailers. They tractors. They are all being rented by Penske, okay? And the fifth wheel is all stationary. Meaning you can't adjust the fifth wheel on it. It's stationary. I mean, there's no adjustments to it. And they say they have heavy tires. I never heard of that one. They say they have heavy tires, so it's always going to put you over that 11,000 mark, because you can't be over 12,000 on your steer axles. You can't be over 12,000 on your steering axles. Well, with these heavy tires, you always seem to be over 12,000. Oh, it's okay, you can go over 500. And I was never comfortable with going over any of my axles, because those citations are not cheap, and they want you to come out of your pocket for it. So I was never cool with that. But when you get these loads, you can't adjust your fifth wheel. And so you can reject the load, and but then they'll tell you, no, you got an extra 500, this and that and that. So I was going through that, and I didn't like that. And then the second thing that I didn't like was that my region was within Texas and Oklahoma. There's a number for it, and I don't even want to go back trying to quote exactly what number it is. All you need to know, it was like Texas, Oklahoma, okay? And so my fleet manager was, because they give you this gas card, and they tell you where to go to get your gas. And so, which I don't have any problem with that. But here's what I had a problem with. When they issue you a load, it doesn't tell you how heavy that load is. And then when they issue a load, they send you, they dispatch you, and then they tell you to go fill up your tank. Well, if you don't know how heavy your load is, you don't want to do that. You want to know how heavy your load is, because the more fuel you put in that tank, the chances of you going over your weight scale, not getting a legal scale, is very high of chance that can happen, okay? So you would like at least want to put half a tank. So when they was giving me like fuel, that when they give me routes to fill my tank up, I wouldn't fill it up no more after going through that. I just put it halfway. Okay, so just to avoid that from happening. And sometimes when I had got a trailer, it didn't go all the way forward. My tandles, it couldn't go all the way forward, and I needed those 4 extra holes up forward in order to get a legal scale. But it was stationary, where it wasn't stationary, because stationary means it can't go in any holes. It just didn't allow me to go those few extra more holes up front. And then a lot of trades that I was coming across, it was raggedy. Like, when you gotta roll up those you gotta roll up the legs on it. the I'm sorry, I know it's bad. The landing gear, when you gotta roll it up, it's hard. Some of it won't. It's like you're gonna hurt your back trying to roll that sucker up. I didn't like that. Okay, and I was told that I will be making 12 to 1,000 to 1,200, things to that nature, right? Okay, and then they told me that I would be doing my 34-hour reset at home. So, because that's one of the things that I wanted to do. I wanted to spend more time at home if I'm going to be making money, because I didn't do that with all my other jobs. I was always on the road, and I know if you're going to make that money, you got to do what you got to do, and I get that. I get all that. But my life, man, I didn't lost so many family members on the road, and I wasn't able to attend their funeral, and watching other people just grow old with me missing out on events, all because I'm on that damn road. Like, I don't have no life. If your life is not just based off trucks, then you might want to find somewhere you can go home every day, like a local or regional job. Well, so when I asked to take this job, they told me I do my 34-hour reset at home. I thought that assumption. You know what they say about assumption? I thought that I was gonna go home when I was gonna run out of time, and then on that 34 hours, I was gonna spend my 34 hours off the clock and at home, you know. But it didn't work out like that. Basically, when they're like two times, they had me 200 miles away from home. They'll tell me to drive home 200 miles, drive home, and that's after I didn't dropped off a load or something. And I drive home, and when I get home, I'm so tired from driving, I go to sleep. And guess what? When I go to sleep, that time that I'm sleeping is counting the time that I'm using for my 34 hours. So when I wake up, I got probably 5-6 hours sleep, and now I wake up. So that I already took away from my 34, and I wake up and trying to enjoy at least a whole day. But before the whole day is up, I get a call telling me, hey, I need you to pick up this load 6 o'clock in the morning, right here, right. So therefore, I don't have a whole day off. I have to, if I was to drink alcohol or something, I can't even drink because I got to go to bed early. The whole day I thought I had to myself. There's none of that. It's like I didn't have a day off. You know what I mean? It's because I remember with a guy from HEB, he was saying that the job at HEB was really good. It's just that, they get 2 days off on weekends, but the weekends go by so fast, And I was like telling everybody, that day before you got to go to work is kind of like a work day, because you can't do what you would do on a day that you don't have to go to work on the next day. So that Sunday is like actually it's a work day, because you got to start making preparation to go to work the next day. So it's kind of like, but that was one of the things. And then my check, because they give you a cash advance. They let you get it. They like give you a $40 cash advance every day. So I was taking $40 out of my cash advance, and there was a reason why I was doing that. But I was I was behind on my bills, and every day I would take out $40, $40. You know what I'm saying? And so when I did it with Great Plains at my last job, they give you $200 a week of cash advance. So when I got my check, after the tax deduction, I had probably brought home like $1,196, and so I had 200. So if you do the math, because the amount that they have to calculate to adjust to add the deduction, the tax deduction, the more they're going to take out. So if I took out my cash advances, 200, then they don't have a higher number to calculate a percentage of how much to take out the tax. So I was taking home more by doing my cash advances like that. And I figured that out a long time ago. So that's one of the reasons why I was doing a cash advance, $40, $40, $40. Man. So I've been making thousands of dollars every week for the past, I'm gonna say the past 5 years. So my lifestyle is like in a thousandaire range. I'm not $100aire anymore, you know. So like that's what my lifestyle. I'm not in a 5-figure thousandaire, but I'm in the 4-figure thousandaire, and my lifestyle is a lot different from when I was just in the 3 figures. Okay, I'm no longer in a $100aire. I'm in a thousandaire. So my lifestyle is like that, and my bills is like that. So when I got paid at MVT, I had got a check. What happened? I had got a $500 check for MVT. That was in my orientation, because they gave me a $500. Yeah, it was $500 some dollars. I think it was a $500 sign up bonus, and then plus the the money that I made when I was working. Okay, so I had got $1,000. So I was like, okay, all right, I can do a little something with this, you know what I mean? And I'm thinking, like, you know, it'll get better, you know. Man, my next check was like $551 some dollars. Then my next check was like it was like 800. Then my next check, I didn't see my next check actually. Some other company that I was contracted with, without even where, they sent me $200 some dollars, because okay, so they hit me for abandonment of truck. Okay, so, and that's another thing. My contract, you know, they give you a big bulk, and y'all need to read these contracts. But here's what happened. They was calling me. They was telling me that to clock out of my clock when I'm actually working, and I was like, no, I'm not gonna do that. You know what I mean? And one time I was at home. I was like 30 minutes away from home. It was time for me to take my home time. I only had like 5 hours left, and they was giving me another load. And I said, hey, this load is going to Houston, and I still gotta pick this load up. I gotta wait this load, and when I get down there, I ain't gonna have no time back. I ain't gonna have no time to get back. Or y'all gonna PC me? Cause they can legally PC me. And they were like, no, get with safety, and they will fix your clock. They will give you some drive time back from your own dude. I said, you can't do that. That's illegal. You know what I mean? Because that's like modifying your clock. And they like, and so she didn't respond off the text, so I screenshot it as proof. This is what they're advising me to do, okay? To modify my clock to get me more drive time, okay? So I told my fleet manager, and he said, we don't do anything illegal. You can fix your clock. And I was like, no, you can't. You know what I mean? And it's like, bro, I know, because I watch out for these things, because I don't want to pay for it. You know what I mean? And so he was like, oh no, it's legal. We don't do anything illegal. But he ain't getting it. It's like this. If there have been times that I had a typo, or if your tablet or something shut down, your Qualcomm shut down, and you're not able to come off your clock, okay, or adjust, modify your clock. Let's say that I'm parked and my Qualcomm go off. So now it'll automatically go to on duty, and it have me on duty while I'm resting actually, and then it comes back on, and I can then go and modify it to fix it, because I can put it. I was in a sleeper, okay. I wasn't moving, okay. But when you're moving and you're trying to fix it, that's a whole different ball game right there, because now you're really now you're doing something illegal. But if like, they'll tell you what's the reason that you're modifying, and I tell there was the typo or on this and that, and I was actually not moving. I was actually in my sleeping bird. So you can do that. You get what I mean? Because things like that happens, and they can't say that I I wasn't sleeping. When I was sleeping, I wasn't moving. You know what I'm saying? If you see that there's no activity of me moving, then I was sleeping. So when they was telling me to do that, that's when because I was telling them, I was complaining. I was like, look, I make more money on my unemployment than what y'all paying me. Okay. And so I had got a call from the safety and all the HR, and they were like, we don't agree with you. We don't allow people to manipulate unemployment, and we're not going to terminate you just so you can get unemployment. And I was like, what? And so basically what I was hearing was they thinking that I was going to do something to get fired. But I was telling them I wouldn't do that because that it would be on my reputation. That would go to the next part, like the job that I apply for. They're gonna ask me, why did I get fired? You get what I mean? And I don't want to say, oh, I was doing something reckless or something degenerate to get fired. I don't want that on my record. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't do that. If anything, I would just quit. So when when they send me that text telling me to modify my clock, that was all I needed. I said, okay, boom, there it is, right here. Because I have evidence showing that you want me to do something illegal, and I'm not authorized to work anywhere where I can end up losing my CDL. So I used that right there as the justification to leave that job. And so I quit. I had quit it on a Saturday, and I put in my resign paper on a Sunday. Just to keep it professional. But I quit. I was basically, after I had delivered my load, I took the truck and trailer to a drop yard where we was allowed to take our truck and trailer when we take our home time. That was the authorized spot where we can, in my location, was able to take it. It was like it had a security guard. You had to use your badge to go in and go out. It was secure, and it had other trailers and tractors, and people was parking their personal vehicle with the MVT tag. So it was secure. But on our contract, it states that that's not what, if we pick up a truck from Laredo, that is where we got to return it. There was 3 main terminals we had to return it to, you know what I mean? But I didn't want to be in that truck anymore, and so I left it there, and they hit me with an abandonment of truck, and they didn't pay me my check. Because I finished my week, I was taking my home time, but besides coming back, I quit and I resigned, and they took my whole check. And so the people that they was contract with, they sent me a $241, and I'm trying to get my check stub, but I'm finna hit them with a labor law because according to the law, you can't just take any amount because they didn't have on my contract. They say they will hit. I do agree to be hit with a fee, but it didn't specify the amount. Okay, and I never agreed to a particular amount, which is illegal. So that's what I'm going to be reporting them on. But it's not for guys like me. Now, if you one of those immigrants who don't really live that lifestyle that I lived, and you can go home and make $500 a week, and you don't care about your wage skills being illegal, and things of that nature, that's the perfect job for you. But for a guy like me, it ain't for me. I think that if I didn't care about my wage scale, if I didn't care about making under $1,000, if I didn't care about not going home, MVT would be the perfect job for me. It would have been a perfect job for me. It wasn't too tough. It was laid back, you know what I mean? It's just that I've been exposed to a lot of things that what makes a good trucker. And exposing me to that makes me very uncomfortable. So I wanted to share that with you guys who are deciding to go to MVT. If you want to go, like dude said, don't see I didn't warn you. As far as the orientation, they sent me over there. I had my own room. They gave me my own room. That was, you don't have to share a room with nobody. That was pretty cool because I wasn't comfortable with sharing a room with nobody. They told me not to drive my vehicle. I should have drove my vehicle down there, but I didn't drive my vehicle, and that was a big mistake that I made. Yeah, orientation, basically they have you take a test on this computer, but the test is basically, you can, if you get the answer wrong, just remember the answer, and when you go back, redo it, answer the question right, and you'll pass. So don't even, just take notes, whatever, screenshot, whatever. If that's, but I went through. I didn't even read all the stuff because I already knew the answers to everything. Because like I said, I've been doing it for 6+ years, so I went through that thing easily. The driving part was very simple. But there was. I'm not even gonna. I should. No, should I? Should I say this? I think I should. I gotta keep it no for gazing. There was a Hispanic guy that old man, and he his English wasn't very well, so we had to kind of help him with the test, as far as the written test and things like that. And then when the driving part came, man, that dude had me so nervous the way he was driving. I don't see how he passed that test. I don't. I really don't. It was like, I really don't see how he passed that test, the driving part. I really don't. He had me so nervous the way he was driving. He was like, I don't know, maybe, because we do get nervous. So, I don't know. I think that they should have kind of worked with him a little bit, just to make sure that, he knows exactly how to drive, and just kind of until he got comfortable with it. But just give him that little small moment and say, yeah, you good, you passed, welcome to MVT. I think that, I don't think that was a good call. I think that endangered our streets by putting someone like that on the street. I mean, somebody can say that same about me bagging up without getting out and looking, So, I mean, I'm keeping it no for gazy here. But, I mean, I know they say nobody's perfect, but when you out here in these big old trucks, you in a big old missile, you got to be damn near perfect, because you don't want to hurt yourself or nobody else out here. But MVT, it's not for me. Again, MVT, it's not for me.